Yes.
Which beach did you go to?
Just short sands.
Oh, nice.
We have a place in Manzanita, and so
Oh.
we just kind of go to short sands.
Everybody get some ice?
What we figured out the way to do it is we will hang out
Yes.
all day and then
A little bigger font for me. Good.
Oh,
So ceremonies and proclamations.
get out, cook dinner,
Second, but as I do most times, if you have a cell phone, please either silence it or turn it off. Chief?
How are you, sir?
Good.
thank you.
All right, so I will call to order the regular meeting of the Oregon City Commission for Wednesday, September 6, 2017. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hyde? Here. Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Here.
Commissioner Minglebert?
Here.
Mayor Holliday?
Here. Please stand and join me in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a short meeting tonight. We have no ceremonies or proclamations. At this time, I'll take citizen comment. Citizen allowed 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city, but not listed as an item on the agenda. Do we have any citizen comment?
Yes.
I don't see them on my
Yes.
list.
First night with new equipment.
Well, I'm guessing Mr. Gifford.
Yep, but Karen Buring and Lucy McKay first.
Okay.
I think they're coming together.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having us. I'm Karen Burig. I live at 1416 9th Street in the McLaughlin neighborhood. And this is Lucy McKay. She lives at 709 11th Street. So we wanted to share this information with you about an event that's happening on Sunday. It's actually 2 events partnered together. So Lucy would just distributed a flyer. There's one side talks about the Ladderette Revival, and the second side talks about this intersection design, intersection painting project that's going on. So you may recall that Lucy's Girl Scout troop last year in November hosted a workshop with City Repair to work with the community to come up with a vision for Ladderette Park. And this is our opportunity to share with the greater community more about that vision. And Margot from Big Yellow Taxi had said that she would love to play some music to get people to come down to the park. So we're going to have information about that vision there at the park. And it's from 3 to 5 on Sunday. So, and then Lucy will tell you a little bit about the intersection painting.
So we're gonna basically have like, I designed a little bit of a sunflower, and then we had an artist like take it and make it more intricate, and we graphically designed it, and then we're gonna have a big party, and really early in the morning we're gonna come and we're gonna paint the intersection, and then afterwards we're gonna have this party to raise awareness about the Ladderette Park.
Yeah. So we've been working really closely with Public Works. to figure out a process to allow for this to happen. So we've been coordinating with them, and we've developed a process, and we've submitted our permits for them. We've been working with the neighborhood. Actually, Lucy and I just ducked out of a meeting where there were 10 neighbors getting together to do the final little bits of, okay, who's bringing what and who's going to be there at what time. So we're encouraging, you'll see an article in the Oregon City newspaper about what's going on. Everybody in the community is welcome to come and join. We're going to have folks from City Repair help facilitate the actual painting of the intersection. And it's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited to see this happen. Oh, and we were able to get a grant from the Clackamas County Arts Alliance. They are partially helping to fund this intersection painting. And we have been working with Sherwin-Williams is donating the paint, so we've been really working with the community to make this happen. So anyway, we hope you guys can attend and see kind of what the next steps for Ladderette are, at least what the community's talking about.
So I'm trying to place 11th and Jeff. Is that the downhill corner of Ladderette Park?
Yeah.
No, it's one block down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a block over, and it's on the section. There's a dead end section that has where it's a T intersection instead of a cross, and there's stairways that go up an unimproved. Well, it's
Right. So Jeff doesn't go through there.
Right.
Correct.
Right. Okay. I know where you're at now.
Not heavily traveled, so we're hoping the paint will last longer and not be. I mean, the whole design, I was just looking at your dress, Karen. Similar to Karen's dress, what this design will look like. And so we don't have to worry about, we had some concerns about things that look like traffic control devices. This will definitely not look like that. So yeah, it should be interesting. This will be our first one. And
well, that was the other question I was going to ask. Does this establish some sort of precedent moving forward?
Well, we had a process that I think was somewhat labor intensive and required, so it's content neutral. It's another one of these kind of scenarios where we need to be content neutral. But we have some criteria that, again, keep it from being a hazard. And I think we required 80% of the neighbors to sign a petition or approve that design and the location and say they'd be okay with that. So there's that level of threshold, but I suppose as long as it's well received, there may be somebody out there that wants to do another one.
Okay. Yeah. Questions, anybody?
How long do you anticipate the painting to survive? A couple years or longer?
I think it always depends on the traffic, but 2 to 3 years is what we're hoping for. We are, as a part of this, and the way that the permit's written up is that the neighbors are responsible for repainting it, but it is something that the intent is to bring the neighbors together and have them work on something and really make the community their own. So it gives them the opportunity to repaint in future years.
So during the painting process, is there a way for traffic to be diverted safely so that people can get around and not interrupt the work?
So part of this process that we've been working out with Public Works is that we have a traffic control plan that was put together. So the certain streets will be blocked off during that particular time so people don't drive through it. But the paint dries remarkably fast. So by the end of the evening, by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it'll be open up again. So yeah.
Anybody else?
Look forward to seeing you Sunday.
Yeah, excellent. We
So,
hope
John?
Yes, sir.
Just one question. I assume that we looked at the capital improvement / road maintenance plan, and this isn't going to get paved over in a year?
Right. We did look at that.
All right, I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing you.
Mr. Gifford.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, my name is William Gifford, and I live in Oregon City. Nice to have you back, Commissioner O'Donnell. We had a We had an eclipse recently, I think most people know about. It's an unusual event, shocking and beautiful. And I just want to point out that we are going to be having, I don't know statistically, but certainly in another unusual event happening this month. We are having a special election. We don't often have September elections. We have a single item on the ballot. It's unusual that we have a special election. It's unusual that when we have a special election that there's only one item on the ballot. The ballots have been mailed out. September 19th is the last day that ballots can be received. We have only 2 locations in Oregon City where ballots can be dropped off and not mailed. One is right here on the corner in the alley. We have a drop box for ballots, and the other is up at the county elections office up on the top of the hill, and the elections across from Benchmade Knives. A lot of people seem to think that they can drop their ballots off. Yes, library court. A lot of people seem to think that they can drop their ballots off at the library. You can't drop your ballots off at the library. A lot of communities do that. We don't do that for whatever reason. But the purpose of the ballot, of course, is that we need the approval, the city needs the approval of the citizens in order to purchase bonds for the construction of a new police facility, which I think is a swell idea. We need it desperately, and I certainly hope that we can convince the citizens to not only vote, that's a good start, but to tell their neighbors that they need to vote as well. Because it's a special election, after my initial comment about how unusual it is, we expect a low voter turnout. However, all we need is 50% plus 1, so we're certainly hoping that we can get that support for our police department and our municipal courts to have that new facility built because we need it so badly. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else? Okay, then we'll move on. Everybody okay with the agenda? Then we will go to PC 17-094, request for continuance annexation of 0.95 acres at 18851 South Rose Road, planning file, and 17-0001, Ms. Turway.
Thank you very much. City staff is requesting a continuance for annexation 17-01 to the date certain of September 20th, 2017. We will provide a staff report 1 week prior to that hearing date, which will be in the city commission packet with the findings as well. I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve PC 17-094, request for continuance annexation of 0.95 acres on 18851 South Rose Road.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
Commissioner Mangelberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Ide.
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw.
Aye.
Mayor Holliday.
Aye. So before we move on to the consent agenda, I noticed a group of folks with red shirts in the crowd. Were you here for a particular reason, or?
For the permit for our fence, the consented.
It's on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. So does anybody want to pull anything from consent agenda?
We do have a citizen comment for the consent agenda.
Who is it?
William Gifford.
It's not on my list again. Mr. Gifford, come on up.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, my name is William Gifford. I still live in Oregon City. Welcome back, Commissioner O'Donnell. I am intimately involved in this, or I used to be, because I used to live in the location where the preschool is now. That was my residence. And when the church that owns that half a block decided to expand their facility to include that new L wing that goes along 6th Street there, that was identified as an education building. And at that time during the planning, and that took several years of planning, the intent was that the preschool would move into that educational wing. But during the construction, the preschool used that house at 517 Jefferson, which used to be the parsonage of that church. The preschool used that house during the construction, and apparently liked it better than the educational wing, so they've stayed there. And then it was complicated about how that original vacation of that alley word. I did notice on the staff report that that church is still referred to as Atkinson Church, and you should be advised that that church has renamed itself. It is now known as Unitarian Universalist Congregation at Willamette Falls. It's a mouthful. And but it's still referred to in this document as Atkinson Church, and I just want to make sure there's no issues with that renaming. Maybe the building is still known as Atkinson Church, although one place in here is just called Atkins Church. But seems like that should be cleared up. And it also mentions in the staff report that the only reason that alleyway is accessed is for church use, which is pretty much only on Sundays, or something else. But there's a number of people that use the parking facility for the Pioneers Center that go through that alley. And so that's an additional traffic where there. When the garbage cans are out once a week on the curbside there, it's a very difficult turn to maneuver to get in there, but it's always been that way. I'm glad that PGE moved that pole. So I just wanted to clear up a couple of those things, specifically the name of the church and a little bit more of the history as to why that's there. And I don't know, the question wasn't answered for me by reading this report about how long this vacation would last.
It's not a vacation, it's a revocable right-of-way permit.
I know when they were first doing it, they wanted that right away for temporary, but it was going to be longer than 3 months or something like that for the construction, and we can't have a temporary vacation, I'm going to call it a vacation, of that right away for longer than 3 months, so they had to make it a permanent vacation, and so this is just a renewal of that.
No, a vacation is something completely different. A vacation is when we take that alley and we split it into either 2 or 4 pieces, depending on how many property owners there are, and that actually becomes the property of those 2 separate properties. This is just a revocable right-of-way permit.
Right. So it gives them the right to stay where they've been for the last at least 5 years. I can't remember how many years, 7 years. Yeah, 7. So it's been several years that they've been doing that. And this time around, rather than setting a date certain, my recollection on this one, and Alita from Goodrich put this together, so I'll have to, I'm speaking from memory, but we left it such that it was available until the use changed or until a new preschool took over.
Till Oregon City Preschool no longer uses it. Section 3 of the resolution will not expire or terminate until the city revokes the permit or Oregon City Preschool no longer uses this portion of the public alley for their private playground fencing. Right. And then the resolution itself is tied to the address, which is 517 Jefferson. So we apologize for the naming issues, and that was in the staff report. That's not in the resolution itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so anybody want to pull any consent agenda? Then I'd hear a motion.
Well, I want to comment on the consent agenda.
Okay.
So I don't want to pull the issue, but I did want to flag the resource officer position and say that I think that's a great idea. My one thought and concern is that college campuses tend to have a lot of assault issues, especially sexual assault, and I'm hoping that whatever officer is positioned for that role would be very sensitive and responsive to that.
Certainly. Now I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve consent.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Ide. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye. On to communications, Mr. Manager.
Thank you.
Coming folks, so there.
Just a couple updates tonight. We'll start with an update from Library Director.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to share with you the really great news that the Oregon City Public Library was featured in and recognized in the annual issue of the American Library Association's journal. It's a library design showcase issue, and we were listed under Revitalized Carnegie's, And it's really an honor to be listed in this thing. It's pretty huge. So we were one of 2 libraries recognized. We were on the opening spread of the article. And I'll send you the link with your Friday report. And we're the 3rd library on the slideshow, which is how you can look at all the pictures which are posted, starting at like slide 10. I'll add that note with it.
It's, at least on the phone, it's difficult to navigate to the slideshow.
Okay.
I don't know, I never tried it on the desktop, but it took me 3 different tries to actually get it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Find the pictures.
Yeah.
Kind of clunky.
It's pretty clunky on the phone, I agree. You want to look at it on a big screen anyway. It's nicer with big.
I just read the articles, I don't look at the pictures.
Well, this one actually only has pictures, so
Congratulations.
even better. Thank you so much.
And further note too, there's, I mean, not to take away from our library, but actually there is one in Eugene, so actually 2 libraries in Oregon got recognized.
Right, yeah, there some new academic
Yeah.
that was under that category. I'm not exactly sure which one, but yeah, that was very cool.
We were better though, so.
We are.
Next update from Mr. Lewis, John.
Mr. Lewis.
John Lewis, the original.
I'm new to approved.
It's true, I am older than Phil, but. So I just wanted to report on Main Street at 99. And actually, it goes all the way to 6th Street on Main Street. There's a railroad spur. Comes out of the Blue Heron Mill site or the Willamette Falls Legacy site and crosses 99E and runs right down the center of Main Street for a block. So I think you're all familiar with it. I know you've all driven on it at one time or another. And for last year in particular, we had a lot of problems with that crossing, right? Mayor will remember that. He was the inspiration behind some of the fixes. So anyway, we've finally gotten Union Pacific to work with the state, and we've agreed to some terms with the state. So we're going to bring to you an intergovernmental agreement, maybe a little bit after the fact, but we have an agreement with the state to pay for the paving of Main Street, that block of Main Street. So Union Pacific is going to remove the tracks. ODOT is issuing, or they're soliciting bids right now for the repair of both the 99E crossing and that 1 block extent of Main Street. So there'll be closures.
When you say repair, you mean they're removing the tracks?
They're going to remove the tracks,
And
all the ties.
And all that stuff in 99?
In 99 and in Main Street.
Right, okay.
So there will be no longer the railroad spur. It'll stop somewhere on the I guess it would be the 4th Street side of 99. And so all the traffic control associated with that, there's actually a signal pole at the corner of 6th and Main that eventually will come out, but this is mostly about the pavement repairs. So anyway, Union Pacific's going to use their labor to remove the tracks. ODOT's going to be there for traffic control, and they're contracting with the for traffic control and the paving work, and then we basically pay for our segment of the repair to Main Street. And so the challenge is they had intended to get bids on that last Thursday, and no one bid on the project. And so they're reaching back out. I'm going to have another short bid period. I think, it's just busy time for a lot of contractors. We're hoping even though it's busy, that we'll still see good bids come in on that. And so right now they're projecting for work dates of September 25th through the 30th. And most of that's nighttime work, but there will be some daytime closures on Main Street. And so we've already communicated with the businesses along there about the schedule that we sent out and knocked on doors the day before we heard that we didn't get any bids. So we got to go back out and re-notify those people about the change. We'll probably wait until we get the bids though before we do that. But that's kind of so we just wanted to give you an update that it's going to be impactful. They're actually going to close the bridge during certain times. And they'll be, typical of when they were working on the bridge. It's just so much traffic that comes across the bridge. Trying to manage that on the Oregon City side doesn't make sense. So they're going to close that bridge and force traffic to use the 99E interchange as opposed to the 43 bridge. bridge crossing. There still will be traffic allowances for folks leaving Oregon City heading towards West Lynn to use the bridge, but not the other direction. So we'll be working with them to coordinate all that. I just wanted you to know about that.
So I assume you've also communicated this to the city of Canby and city of West Lynn?
I don't know that we have, so we'll look into that.
I think we should, don't you think?
Yeah. It is an ODOT project, but we'll take the lead on reaching out to them as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, most of you know Martin Montalvo is on active duty with the Coast Guard, and he's, that usually results in weekend duties at least once a month, usually a couple weeks during the year where he serves and does training ops. He's very skilled at that, as he is with our operations manager position. And because of that, and because he's active duty, he got notice last week, Thursday, that he was being called up for duty to help with Hurricane Harvey. So on Friday, he was in the air flying to Galveston, Texas, where I don't know if that's where he's staying, but that's where he reported to. And they've called him up for a minimum of 60 days. So pretty big commitment for him personally. It's definitely going to have an impact on us. He carries a pretty heavy load. We've got Eric Hand is one of our supervisors, going to fill in on an interim basis. And it's just going to be, we're going to try and distribute that load as best we can here. But I guess I'm just asking for some patience because, like I said, Martin carries a heavy load, and we'll do our best to kind of stay on top of that. One of these projects is this 99E and Main Street project. So that's one of those projects that it would be nice to have somebody like Martin to help facilitate, but we'll get through it.
So is it possible he could get extended?
I think it is possible. He was, sharing his frustration with that option with me the other day, but it's possible. He's got,
the fact that we have another hurricane about to hit in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. Martin has a degree in biology and, his emergency management background. And so, there's a lot of environmental issues associated with that hurricane. So I'm guessing they're going to really appreciate having him there as much as we would appreciate having him if we had an emergency, something like that. So, yeah, just wanted you to know that. He is communicating when he can via email. So he's doing his best to be diligent. I know he's really appreciative of the city and, the fact that we do our best to manage his active duty.
Okay.
Just 2 other quick updates. The city, we're coming to that time of the year when our boards and committees, we have folks whose positions are expiring or their term limits are up. So we've begun the advertising for that. So we're accepting applications. There's 17 upcoming openings on various boards and committees. So that information is available on our website on how to reapply or apply for the first time for those openings. So hopefully folks will take the time to have a look and volunteer for our very important boards and committees that we have throughout the city.
Ms. Friggs, can you send me that list? Thank you.
And lastly, just want to thank Ms. Riggs. We are back in the chamber. So I think Ms. Riggs and her team did a good job of the upgrades to this facility. So the monitors, TV cameras, everything that goes on behind the scenes. It was a lot of work, and we were scrambling up to the last minute today, but it seems like everything's working, so we will find out tomorrow for sure. But I do want to thank her. It was a lot of effort to try and squeeze it in and have as minimal impact on all the boards and committees that use this room throughout the year. And that concludes my updates for tonight.
It looks great.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes,
Katie.
yeah.
And just so you guys know, you can either use the mouse or the Air touch screen, so you can just click around on it with your finger. Well, I guess we'll start with Ms. Ide since it's going to take a while.
What can I say? I have some really exciting news, and you may have already heard it in the community because it has been announced, but the Downtown Oregon City Association has been selected as a semifinalist for the 2018 Great American Main Street Award. And this is very exciting because, like I said, it's a national award, and there are 10 finalists from a variety of states from Maine to Oregon. And the we're still in the running to be one of the 3 winners of the award, and that will be announced in by next spring, so sometime in March. The application that we submitted through the Downtown Association, it highlighted the hardships that Oregon City has gone through and overcome, including the closing of the Blue Heron Mill, the years long closure of the Arch Bridge, just the disruption of all the streetscape down on Main Street, and many other things was in the application. And since 2009, nearly $42 million has been invested in our district's buildings and streetscapes and infrastructure, and including the fact that DOSA's volunteers have invested more than 8,000 hours. So, you know, there's a lot more to it than just that in the application, but those are some of the highlights. The 10 semifinalists have accomplished all kinds of, there's a lot of statistics I won't get into, but they include lots and lots of new jobs, new businesses, rehabilitated buildings, and so forth. So we're up against some really difficult cities. So if we come in as one of the winners, we will be very, very fortunate. So anyway, I'll keep you up to date and posted on that. Also, I am a participant on the tourism strategic planning sessions that are taking place. We're having about 5 or 6 meetings over the next couple of months. Currently, we're working on a vision and a mission statement for tourism in Oregon City. And we should have that done by the first part of the year. Now, I attended the 10th anniversary of the Singer Hill Cafe right up here, which was a really fun evening for those that attended. Also met with the Clackamas County Housing Authority to learn more about the plans for the View Manor and the Clackamas Heights Section 8 project up on Holcomb Boulevard. I understand we're going to be having a work session on that next week to get more information on that. So Clackamas County will be here to explain the project and what their intentions are. And Ryan and I attended the Clackamas fire training at the mill site yesterday, and we observed firefighters containing a burning building. So if you saw the smoke coming off the top of buildings over there, it was real smoke. And we actually got to see our new ladder truck in operation, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, it rescued a baby.
Yes, right, they rescued a baby, yes. Anyway, so that's it. There were many other things, but that's the highlights.
Commissioner Shaw?
All right, yes, and the county affordable housing issue up at Holcomb there, Nancy and I are both, Commissioner Hyde and I were both doing that. So we are making sure we are in front of the county on that to make sure we stay in the affordable housing business here in Oregon City. I think we can look at not only accommodating the folks that are already there that could be displaced, but also help in our homeless situation we have in the city, because as we found out during the count that women and children were the #1 section of that, and #2 were people with jobs with no place to live. So we do have a need for affordable housing here. So that's why we're working with the county to make sure we have our focus is still up there. And the concert in the park, the last one last Thursday, was the volunteers recognition dinner, which was supposed to be served by 2 food vendors, but one of them's equipment went out 5 minutes before the concert, before he was supposed to serve food, and it was all up to the optimists, and Commissioner Ide and I and the rest of the optimists had to serve all of the volunteers that night, and we did everybody. So there was only like 6 people that were not volunteers that did not get served that night. So I was impressed that we were able to do that. and did attend the Oregon City Westland rivalry football breakfast that the Optimist put on. And that's always well attended, even though it's 6:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning. But it's always cool to have all the senior football players together on both sides, and they get the old rah-rah up there from the coaches and all the people up there at the head table. So did the fire training, as Commissioner Hyde said too. So yeah, it was interesting to see some of our new equipment at work. So, and I want to welcome Commissioner O'Donnell back here today too. So even though he thinks I owe him lunch, but I don't know. I was hoping that when he went through that, he might have forgot about it. But
It'll be a sodium-free lunch.
yeah, sodium-free. And
Kept me going.
okay.
Commissioner,
I forgot to mention one thing.
you only get one shot at this.
Yeah, I know. So I'll just continue. I just wanted to mention that Jonathan Stone is the Main Street manager in Oregon Downtown Association, and former Commissioner Carol Pauley. The two of them did the most work on putting the application together for the Main Street Award. So I just wanted to give them the credit on that.
Good.
Commissioner O'Donnell,
Nothing from me, sir.
Commissioner Mengelberg.
It was my pleasure to attend the Oregon City Business Alliance presentation at the last meeting where the police bond was discussed. And of course, Chief Band did a fantastic job of providing factual information about the project. And thanks to Mr. Gifford for his closing comments on that. We also learned a little bit about the school district bond that might be coming forward, not this November, but the following November. So lots of investment in a building potentially coming to our fair city. Also, as I was driving downtown the other day, I was noticing how nice the new building Black and White is looking right on the corner of Main and 99, and I believe that's one of our previous facade improvement rehabilitation grants through the Urban Renewal District when it was alive and well, and it looks great. So a nice addition to downtown. And it's also my pleasure to serve as a co-chair for the Beaver Creek Road Master Concert Plan Task Force, something or other, next week. So that'll be kicking off bright and early at 7:30 to 9:30 next Thursday. That's it.
Wear your flak vest. So, let's see, I had interesting meeting with folks from Amtrak and ODOT talking about scheduling for the Cascades trains. There will be a schedule change coming up probably in the next month or two. They lost a train set to a crash up in Washington, and they're waiting for, I think it's ODOT or WashDOT to replace that train set before they can make the schedule change. But it's going to move. The one that leaves in the morning from Portland will now be leaving around 9-ish instead of 6:30 in the morning. So that may affect some folks who are commuting from Oregon City to Salem on the Amtrak route. We don't have a lot of, don't currently have a lot of folks using the Amtrak station, but they're willing to let us hang on until we have some of the other, they were excited to hear about the other development opportunities that are going on in downtown Oregon City. We know of at least one hotel plus some other things along with, the legacy projects a little farther out. So I am currently on the National Amtrak Mayor's Council, Advisory Council. So I'll still continue to advocate for keeping a stop in Oregon City, and I don't think we'll have much trouble with that. But just so people know that there's going to be a schedule change coming. I did a tour last Friday, or Friday the 25th, with the mayor of Hillsborough, Steve Calloway. One of our staff folks was kind enough to go down and do an early couple-hour tour at the Willamette Falls Legacy Project. Then I'd been invited by former councilor, what's her name? Anyway, from Westland to tour the north end of their mill site. And they're talking about doing some kinds of economic development. Basically, there's the island that we see out there that's at the very south, the south end of the site, the very south end of the site where the the locks eventually come back out going upstream, and some of the buildings that are farther north than that. But I think they're about probably at least 10, maybe 15 years behind us as far as being able to get somewhere where they can actually do some development. They have some pretty serious challenges. The biggest one is that there just isn't a whole lot of way to get people from the shore to the island. And so they're looking at bridging opportunities and other kinds of things. But it was interesting this is my first time I've ever been in the old section of the Westland Mill. And it's quite, some of those buildings are quite impressive. Jody Carson is the counselor, and she's continuing to run these tours every Friday. So if you're interested, you can get a hold of her and somebody at the City of Westland, and they'll connect you up. Beyond that, it's been a pretty light couple of weeks. I did attend the and made some presentations at the volunteer at the conference in the park, and I also attended and read the annual proclamation for the Battle for the Bridge at the Westland Oregon City breakfast. Beyond that, it's been pretty quiet. Anything else for the good of the order? We're adjourned.